Hey guys, so talking about graphs a little bit. Let's say I had this equation and I actually had it set equal to 0. All right, so I had it set equal to 0. Um, what I would want to, I don't know if you would want to solve this by quadratic formula or in any other way. You could find the answer, but one efficient way of doing this is by graphing. So if I simply graph the function, all right, it's already set equal to 0. I'm just going to graph it. I'm going to zoom out to view this parabola, and I can see a really tall, thin parabola, right? Kind of like this. If I want to see when it's 0, well, I can locate the zeros. So 6.011 and 29.239. Now, these are going to be estimates, right? But with this graph, you can answer a number of questions. For example, you can answer, what's the highest point? Well, it happens at 17.625, comma 539. It's important with problems of context to know what the context is. For example, right here, if a company produces a product X and its profit can be modeled by the function f of x, then think about the answers to some questions. So here we mean 17 products, a profit of $539. So if I produce 17 products, roughly 17 products, I'm going to make $539. If I produce only 6 products, I'm not going to make any money. If I go overboard and I produce 29 products, I'm not going to make any money either. So the money is going to be made somewhere in between 6 products and 29 products, with again the sweet spot being at 17 and a half products. All right, so it's important to understand that context. It's also important for us to know the different features. So we spoke of vertex being a maximum or a minimum. Keep an eye if it's asking for the input or output. It's also important to think about your zeros. These are when your output reaches 0, like your profit reaches 0, or an object hits the ground, right? That reaches 0. It's important to identify what any xy coordinate means in terms of input and output, independent variable and dependent variable. Also, it's important to know what the y-intercept means. Here, the y-intercept is negative 703. So that means if I produce 0 products, I'm going to be in the hole $703. All right, that might mean that that's my initial investment into this. All right. Other things to think about is you probably want to see a better graph than this. So you can go to your graph settings. Think of your x-axis. Do I really need my x's to go to negative 400? Or can I start my x's at 0? Do I really need for them to go to 600? Or can I just stop them at, let's say, 50? If I do that, almost anytime changing the x's alone and zooming out, you can view a much better parabola. All right. Now, what if I wanted to answer the question, hey, well, how many products would I have to produce to make $100? Well, you can graph the horizontal line y equals 100, y equals 100, and you can see at 7 products, I'm going to reach $100. Or on the other hand, if I go overboard, I can produce 28 products and make that same profit of $100. So that's kind of how this behaves, right? And I can change this line to look at different coordinates, all right? Again, now you can see the vertex a little more easily. You can view your zeros a little more easily. So it's important to know how to navigate through this graph. To summarize, understand the context of input-output, all right? And second, know how to zoom in and out of your graph using your graph settings and changing to an appropriate domain that makes a little more sense to your context.